What's the first order of business as an assistant coach? I guess part of it is getting to know the coaching staff you're joining, right?
Yeah, I think certainly came in 2 nights ago. Now that our staff is set, and get to know each other and make sure that we're starting to understand what our system's going to look like, what our roles are going to be, and our identity moving forward with this group of players that we have.
What was the process like getting you over here? I mean, imagine it was kind of a whirlwind with what was happening in Pittsburgh, and you were hired here hours after, basically.
Yes, it was a unique situation with what was going on in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was great to my family and I and my time there, and we had some good hockey teams, but it was time for a change in terms of what was going on in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh allowed me to speak with other teams as soon as they had fired our head coach, Dan Bilesma, and not long after I had contact with the Capitals. I chose to talk to no other teams other than the Capitals. I did not ask for permission to speak to anybody else. The Capitals asked for permission to speak with me, and I just thought right from that point that this was going to be a great fit for me. I've seen enough of the Capitals over the years, feel very familiar with their roster, the players that are here, the players that are in their system, and the fact that they have win mentality, and the fact that things didn't go as they should have gone last year. I'd like to be a part of that, creating a different culture here and establishing a little bit of a different identity, pushing us towards closer to our potential that we have with the group that we have here. I think that was what made it most appealing. The second thing that made it very appealing was my own personal growth underneath a coach like Barry Trotz. Comes highly recommended from a number of our Nashville connections that we had in Pittsburgh, whether it was Ray Shero, Tom Fitzgerald. Heard nothing but great things about Barry Trotz, and the work that he's done in Nashville speaks for itself. And I thought that was a good fit for me, and continuing to grow as a young coach myself. But I know his desire to win, as all of the Capitals organization is a big one, and I want to be a part of that. And this was an exciting opportunity for me, and can't wait to get started.
You mentioned that perspective that you have as an opposing coach. Can that be helpful in terms of knowing how to defend against players and talking to some of those players about how they can handle that, how they can handle some of the pressures that teams put on them?
Yeah, I think definitely. I'm very familiar with the Metro Division. I think that was where our particular team last year had our most success, and I think that's an area where Washington struggled last year, and I think that my ability and knowledge that I have to break down opponents and in this division and know their strengths and weaknesses, starting with the Penguins, will be useful information to our staff that between Lane and Barry is more west oriented. So I think again it was an area of need for Barry coming over to the Eastern Conference, to have someone that was knowledgeable of in particular our own division, but also someone that had a little bit of knowledge about a specific team in that division and how we can have success. I certainly think that some of the details and habits that I know that a team like Pittsburgh emphasized, and different ways that those players had success or did not have success, will be things that are discussed, and how to give the Washington Capitals the best opportunity to have the type of season that we're hoping to have this year.
You mentioned your familiarity with the Capitals, playing against them in the Metropolitan Division. When you look at the defensive core that you're about to inherit, what do you think the strengths and weaknesses are?
I think it's still a very young group back there that has a lot of room to grow. I think that their ability to add offensively to this group, particularly 5-on-5, is something that I think was not completely maximized in particularly the last year. I think that will really help our 5-on-5 game, is to be able to get our D more active in the offensive zone. I think the understanding of spending less time in our defensive zone, with the group that we have, the mobility that the players that we have here now, and the Schmitz and Carricks and guys that can skate. I think it's so important for defending is going back under pressure and making plays. Having a great exit strategy coming out of the D zone allows you to spend less time in the defensive zone, and we've got such a great group of forwards here that we're able to get that into their hands more quickly. So I think that's one of the things that most intrigued me, and I think it's a lot of similar defensemen. At different points of their career here in Washington. I think I'll be able to relate to all the players here in Washington about trying to set them up with a plan to continue to improve and grow as players. And I think that's been the thing that I've most relied on, is coming up with a plan with players. And every player is a little bit different, whether it's a 19-year-old that's just getting into the league, or it's a player that's had a couple tough years in rebuilding his career. I had some examples of that in Pittsburgh, and I'm going to use all those examples to help form relationships with these players and how we can improve them. And I'm extremely excited about the clay that I have the ability to mold here. So it's a great group of players. I think the organization, the scouting and the drafting has been great, and now it's talking about taking it to the next level here.
You go from working with the top power play unit to the power play unit that was, I guess, tied with Pittsburgh. Is that, I imagine you'll be working with the PP again here?
Yes, that'll be the case, and certainly learned a lot in my experiences the last 3 or 4 years dealing with some of the higher end players in the league and in Pittsburgh, and it's definitely no shortcoming of high end players here, and their power play is exceptional, and certainly we've used some of their video to teach our guys. I can assure you that. So I think Blaine's done a real nice job with the power play in the past, and look forward to working with him moving forward. I think that there's a fresh perspective that I can add to it, some things that again, defending against Washington and things we've done that have had success in my past years that can add a different look to the group we have. But they done an outstanding job here in that department the last couple of years.
There are a couple of defensemen coming out of Pittsburgh that will be free agents tomorrow. Can you talk about just what you know about each of those guys, Niskanen and Brooks Orpik, and whether your relationship with them could have an impact on if they might want to come here?
Yeah, I think let's speak about Brooks Orpik first. I think he's a player that, looking at the Capitals' present roster, I think he'd be a guy, a left-hand shot, more of a stay-at-home guy that plays against the other team's top players. I think I have pride myself in my ability to form relationships with the players where I can challenge them and continue to force them to improve. Brooks is a guy that prior to us working together started at about just over 18 minutes and then now is capped out at his average of 22 minutes, and he plays the toughest players every night in, night out basis. He's been a part of a top penalty killing unit, and he has been the best penalty killer the past 3 years and 4 years that I've been involved in Pittsburgh. So I think that he brings that ability. I think a situation where he saw a lot of Ovechkin in our matchups. When we came into this building, or when Washington was in playing us in Pittsburgh. So it's a guy that can't handle that. It's maturity. He's won Stanley Cup. He's been a part of a good defensive team and his leadership, I think, would be a great fit for any team, and I'd like it to be here as well. Matt Niskanen was again a different case. He came to us in a trade with Dallas, and we were able to get James Neal and Matt Niskanen for Alex Goligoski. And that situation, Matt had gone through a couple of tough years in Dallas, and again, the relationship that I have with him has really grown over the last 4 years. We came up with a plan when he first walked into my office about how to rebuild his game and get it back to where it was 2 years ago. Certainly Matt has been great to work with. This year he led the National Hockey League defenseman in plus minus with a plus 33, and we went through over 500 man games of injuries, primarily to our defense last year, and he really stepped up, and his ability to work with 19-year-old Olli Mata last year showed a lot about his leadership and his ability to help young players. Again, that's an element that he had never had in his game, which was the ability to lead and help young players, and I think that's something that he added to his resume. But right-hand shot that can play on your first power play, but more so a second power play guy, and he was able to increase his level of quality of competition, which was again one of our goals that we worked towards. So Matt and I and Brooks and I as well are in constant contact. We formed relationships together, building a plan. My plan for Matt was much different than my plan for Brooks, which was much different for Olli Mata and Chris Letang. And to me, it's about making those players better, challenging them with different ways to improve, whether that's off ice or on ice details we can add to their game, and ultimately it makes your team a lot better defensively. And I think that the structure that Barry's going to put in and Lane are going to put into our team is going to allow us to be able to play a lot better defensive hockey, and then also turn that into offense the other way with a talented group. But both those players are going to be great additions to any team, and certainly there's not a whole lot of unrestricted defensemen out there, but I may have some contact with them. So.
Given the nature of the rivalry, what was it like putting on that golf shirt for the first time?
Yes, that was different, and I've seen enough of rocking the red, and the fan base here is phenomenal, and I know how difficult of a building it was to come in here and play in, especially with a rivalry like the Penguins had, but I'm happy to be in red and proud to be a member of this staff, and honored to be joining an organization like this that has the history that it does, and I'm really excited to get started on a new chapter for my own personal development as a coach, and getting this organization and this team back to where it needs to be, and that's in the elite in the league. And I can't wait to get started. I wish training camp started tomorrow, but I'll have to wait a little while for the veteran guys, but certainly I'm excited to be here for the development camp and get my hands on some of these young defensemen and start installing the right habits and the right details that I think gives a player a great opportunity to have success when they go over the boards. And that's my vision, and something I believe in is that detail and those habits, ingraining them in a young player at an early age, and that's something we've been managed to do in my past location, and I'll put a lot of emphasis on moving forward.